This dude knows exactly what it looks like. He saved countless people from disaster. So listen, man, when we're telling you we got solutions, man, make that phone ring, call a friend, get on the hotline. Today we're going to talk about mental health. I'm going to give you my insights. I'm using this Nate's from Valhalla VFT video to kind of jump off the points that I want to talk about. I got a brain PDF, man. I'm trying to get the word out there. It's free, just trying to help other vets, people in mental health issues, man. A lot of times, you know, these people think that these issues are from war and all this other stuff. It's traumatic brain injury, man. You're not fixing your brain. We're going to start seeing this cascade effect. It's going to start getting really rapid. We're already losing a lot of veterans to self-harm. I encourage you all to get help. I'll talk a little bit about what's helped me immensely, and let's get going.
All right, guys, I'm going to be real with you up front. If it sounds like I'm angry in this video, it's because I am. If it sounds like I'm calling people out or attacking people in this video, it's because I am. I am so disgusted. What this story is not a story about Chinese alien drones and war crimes being exposed by a whistleblower. Is a story about the global war on terror, mental health crisis our veterans are suffering. This is a story about a mentally ill Green Beret. It's not some giant conspiracy theory that can be used to make veterans look like domestic terrorists so that MSNBC can air clips showing that the real issue in America is veterans.
I'm going to call a spade a spade. The Democrats are trying to destabilize the United States so that Trump walks into an absolute just mess. I mean, when are we going to come together as Americans, man? When are we going to understand that we've got vets that have been downrange for the last 25 years, 2001 to 2025. Now, the war ended roughly about 5 years ago. So just call it 20 straight years of combat. I have one individual that has 27 combat deployments. That's right, 27. You think he needs some help? You think his help that he needs is probably a little bit different than your regular old Joe? Well, let me say this. I got a cousin through my wife who did 3 National Guard deployments in an infantry unit, and he probably saw more combat than a lot of my special operations dudes did, okay? Does he need mental health? Absolutely. Hey, man, shoot me an email. It'll all be in the description, man. Get some help. I got a PDF, man. It'll help repair your brain. The problem is not mental health issues. That is a side effect of TBI and CTE. You got to get your brain fixed, man. You got to get it fixed if you're going to be able to combat any of the bad stuff that's going to start happening to you post 42 years old.
So why is this passionate to me? Because
self-harm,
not only in the veteran community and the military, but in special forces, is extremely prominent. And one of my best friends and teammates that I love the most just took his life after our last combat deployment. So yes, I am passionate about this, and I am sick and tired of seeing former SOF veterans make this story all about me. I said this obviously isn't some conspiracy theory with a man on the run to Mexico. It's a global war on terror veteran, active duty soldier, Green Beret, who's suffering and mentally ill.
Global war on terrorism. We were in Afghanistan. We were in Iraq. Those guys saw horrific things, but it's not the horrific things that are causing the problems right now. The problems are caused by blast exposure. The resonant frequency of our firearms firing bullets is the same resonant frequency in our brain that's causing these micro tears that are causing TBI and CTE. Now, understand this. The amount of bullets you fire in training leading up to going on deployment far and exceeds anything you'll do in the actual battlefield. You fire so much more ammunition. Now, when you get down range, you got other factors to put into play there. You got RPGs going off. You may be close to some explosions. If you're a breacher in SF, you're probably standing on the breach. Your safe standoff distance is not being adhered to. There's a lot of breacher syndrome is coming out now that's causing these heart attacks at about 50. There is a bunch of medical stuff going on, but the one thing that we can combat is your brain. We can get your brain fixed up. Email me for the brain PDF. You guys are probably going to get tired of me saying it in this video. I want people to get better. I want to stop the self-harm. I want veterans to reach out. Listen, man, I was in the same place you were at 47 years old, slurring my speech. Couldn't figure out where I was going. No memory, no short-term memory. Angry, violent. I was having all sorts of problems, man. But luckily, I was with a group of strength coaches, man. They were phenomenal. We did a deep dive into mental health and brain repair. We found so many things to help you, man. There's a concussion repair manual out there. It's phenomenal. It's a big book, man. You can go through it. I got a PDF, man. The PDF is monumental. Live O2 is a huge factor, man. You get a 90-minute HBOT ride in about 6 minutes, man. It's phenomenal for your brain health. Nootropics to help your brain. There's so much stuff out there right now. But veterans, I don't want you to be in your house in the dark with your dog and a beer. I want you to reach out. I want you to get help.
Suffering from a psychotic break. Matt Livensberger's got a psychotic break. I think this is very, very, very likely. The second, and this isn't just me, I had probably 10 teammates who saw that email, and they all had the same reaction. This guy's going through some type of psychosis, some type of psychotic break, spurred on by probably delving into conspiracy theories, and then who knows what triggered it, but this sends him off the edge. And the dude was suffering a psychotic break.
I want everybody to take a step back, man. None of us in the soft community, I mean, there might be a couple of us, are psychologists. But what we are is incredibly observant individuals with an incredibly high EQ. We've been down this road many a times, man. I had a young man at the Naval Academy. I knew he was going to self-harm. I knew it. There was no questions asked. We tried to get him help. At the end of the day, he was too far gone. Nothing we could do. It ended in tragedy. Understand this. We are talking from a position of street knowledge. Call it street knowledge, okay? You want to learn how to work women on a street corner? You go talk to a pimp, okay? That's what you do. In this case, you want to learn about TBI, CTE, mental health issues, breaks? Talk to the vets that have been in it. Because trust me on this one, I understand it better than a psychologist who's never even been in the fray. I understand what it looks like. I understand when it starts to creep in. So listen, man, this dude right here, Nate from Valhalla VFT, he's been in the military for 20 years of combat. 20. This dude knows exactly what it looks like. He saved countless people from disaster. So listen, man, when we're telling you we got solutions, man, make that phone ring, call a friend, get on the hotline, reach out. Do not sit in your dark house drinking with your dog and a gun and expect positive things to come out of it.
The FBI, and it blows my mind. Let's talk about the FBI coming out and saying this. So immediately, of course, what was the response when the FBI put out that it was probably a real email? An entire episode about, see, I was right. The email was sent to me. No one cares if it was sent to you. No one cares who the email was sent to. That's not the story. The story is this is a mentally ill soldier who was suffering, who had a wife and children. And this is not rare. This is a huge, huge problem in America with our veterans and our active duty soldiers. These big podcasts had the opportunity to actually take this story and do something positive with it. Shed light on the veteran mental health crisis. And what did they do?
Right now, we are going to start seeing a massive amount of mental health issues manifesting themselves with veterans and current active duty military guys, because the breaking point is 42 years old. Where did I get this from? I got it from the Cleveland Clinic when I went to the functional health department on the Green Beret protocol. 42 years old, your lungs' abilities to process oxygen decreases below the threshold needed to repair your brain every night. So you start seeing incremental decreases in your cognitive ability starting at 42. Prior to 42, your brain's able to repair itself every night. Nothing manifests itself. So where are we at right now? We're in 2025. Vets are starting to reach that age, 42 years old, and we're starting to see a lot of problems. The older veterans, in this case an E8, probably in his early 40s, late 30s, saw a lot of combat, could have been accelerated a little bit. But I'm telling you this, we are going to start seeing massive problems, just like Nate is saying. And if we don't take action and don't provide resources and we don't help these veterans, we are going to have a national tragedy on our hands.
Look at me. I am ashamed, disgusted, and disappointed. So, and I don't care if you guys don't like what I'm saying. I care about veterans. I care about the veteran mental health crisis. I am tired of receiving the phone calls and the text messages of another one of my buddies and former teammates that's
self-harm.
So, themselves in the mirror and say, what have we done to all these young men and women? What has 20 years at war done to an entire generation of veterans?
I'm with Nate, man. Let's talk about this situation. Let's talk about the problem. Drop it in the comments, man. I'm with Nate. Drop it in the comments. Why do you think all this stuff is happening? Why are people throwing our veterans under the bus?
Let's talk about the real story. Let's talk about a 20-year-long protracted war in the Middle East, the global war on terror. Much different than the previous wars, Vietnam, World War II. Most importantly, in the duration, 20 years. Yes, the combat was different. Yes, things were different. We're going to talk about those things. What are our guys really suffering from? Obviously, PTSD. We have guys that have spent 50, 60 months in combat. Blast injuries are very new to us, being in vehicles, RPGs, getting hit by IEDs, mortars, breaching, repeated head trauma over and over and over, CTE. Huge problem for global war on terror combat veterans. On top of PTSD, you start adding all these things together, PTSD, head trauma. What do you get? A guy like Matt Livensberg, who has a psychotic break and takes his own life. That's the story. It's not rare. And in fact, it's way too common. Now, see, if we compare the global war on terror to, let's say, World War II. World War II was 3 years, I think 11 months in duration. The average soldier in World War II spent less than a year deployed. Again, we had global war on terror veterans average a year minimum, typically, upwards of 5-6 years in combat. Guys who took serious blast injuries, trauma to the head. The biggest problem when it comes to PTSD is there's still a huge stigma behind it. Guys don't want to go get help because society has put a stigma on it, that you're weak, or you won't be able to own a gun, that you don't need therapy, you're a tough guy. The list goes on and on and on. Especially in the SF, very hard to get a guy to go seek behavioral health when he obviously needs it.
This is a key point, man. Nate touches on it, man. There's a huge stigma about going to see the shrinks. I agree with the stigma, okay? You can lose your whole job in SF and your clearance if you go in there and say the wrong things, if you go about it the wrong way. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Reach out to me, man. Get my email. It's in the description. Everything is going to be in the description. Reach out. Get the brain PDF. If you're on an active ODA team, SEAL team, you're having some mental health, cognitive problems, reach out for the PDF, man. Nothing in it is expensive. You can build the whole thing yourself. It's awesome. Like it fixed my brain. You will notice a difference in 3 days. This ain't a long-term fixed deal. Now, you got to keep up with it because your body's ability to process oxygen is mitigated. That's what's causing the problems in the first place. PDF we put together when I was at the University of Illinois is absolutely just amazing for helping your brain.
When a story like this that could be used to break the stigma, PTSD, and soldiers suffering from it. So again, to the American people that aren't veterans, that support the military, support veterans, that have been watching this story, this is not a story about some crazy whistleblowing Chinese drone, alien technology. This is a story about global war on terror and how many of our veterans are suffering mentally. And they're still continuing to suffer. Unable to get the treatment they need at the VA, unable to get behavioral health treatment, having to wait 3-4 months to see a therapist, having the therapist switched on them at any moment's notice, not be getting any continuity of care.
Hey, let me tell you about this other program I'm in. I'm in Al-Anon, and I'm going to tell you, for veterans, it may seem like a weird place to go, but it absolutely has helped me with my anxiety better than any other thing I have done. Go in there. It's going to be, I'll be honest with you, it's going to be a bunch of older, normally Caucasian females in a room talking about their problems. But let me tell you this, as a veteran, if you got the cojones to go down range and face the enemy, if I told you you'll get better in a room, then I think you can handle going in the room. It has changed my life. Shout out to Larry Kennan. Larry Cannon, my head football coach at University Incarnate Word, made me go back in 2012, man. Literally one of the most fundamental, largest changes in my life has occurred in those rooms. I encourage you to seek it out. It is transformational for mental health issues. Trust me, man, we all come from crappy ass upbringing childhoods. We all got childhood trauma. Absolutely helps you to be a better person and combat stinking thinking.
Nobody wants to talk about it. The military, the DOD, they definitely don't want you to know about it. They're very happy to have this story turn into a crazy domestic terrorist, right? They don't want to shed light on what they just had happened to hundreds of thousands of veterans over the last 20 years. Nobody wants to look themselves in the mirror and say, what have we done to all these young men? What has 20 years at war done to an entire generation of veterans? This type of video can start to shed a little bit of light on what's really important.
Bravo, Nate. Bravo, man. Thank you for making this awesome ass video. I am going to use this to spread the word of good. Reach out. We have a PDF. It's called the Brain Repair Protocol PDF. It is full of a bunch of stuff that will help your brain repair itself every night while you sleep, thus making you a more healthy individual in the morning. It will repair CTE. It will repair traumatic brain injury. It will help your brain fix itself and return itself to roughly about 25 years old. That's where my brain, I was like, man, I'm sharp. Okay. Reach out. I have it. It's a PDF. I'll share it. You can share it with anybody you want in the world. We're going to provide some other resources in here if you are in a critical stage. Reach out.
And that's that we have thousands of veterans continuing right now to suffer from PTSD, depression, head trauma. We should get some coverage into that so that maybe we can avoid seeing so many of our own
self-harm.